Do you think the Sixers should keep James Harden? And do you think they should get rid of Doc Rivers? Or do you think they should just go one more year with James Harden and Doc Rivers?
I don't think it gets much better for James Harden and Philly and Doc Rivers, who's holding on for dear life to that '08 title, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting what year it is. It's been so long, but man, I just think that there's not, for James Harden's sake, there's not many. I don't think there's any other potential suitors or teams that wants that contract or him stylistically for their team. I mean, I don't see a roster that he really fits in with. I mean, he's a generational talent, but I should say that. And is he, John and I talked about it in our last episode, JJ, and that was like, is he gonna put in the work in the off season? Yeah, sure. He might come back looking in shape, ready to go. But in 2 months into the season, is he going to be looking the same? I don't know. His track record hasn't proven that will be the case. So it's concerning for me. But if I'm Philly, I don't really know how many options I have. But I do find some insurance and hope in Tyrese Maxey and his ability to step up. We didn't talk about him, but he had a great playoff run these past 2 rounds, the first and second round. So I think I have a little bit of hope in there. And I maybe if I'm Philly, I look at him and I look at Joel Embiid and I build around the two and then try to find another home for Harden. But I'm, like I said, I don't know who's out there in the market for James Harden.
Mm-hmm. Man, I mean, look, so to be real, I think that the 76ers realistically aren't going to trade Harden this offseason. I think they're going to give him and Embiid one chance to be able to run it like a full season. And that's also what I think with Doc, also because Philly kind of like came out and said like, oh, like we're in full support of Doc. Like we're going to keep Doc Rivers and all that. But I will say this though, Harden and Embiid, this Harden, which like how Jay alluded to, and I agree, he's not going to get any better than this. We have seen the best of James Harden. He's not going to come down court and do anything different. Just Harden and Joel Embiid, this 76ers team is just straight up not enough to win a championship at this level. And I understand Ben Simmons is a dang prima donna and annoying. I'm the number one Ben Simmons hater, but you deal Ben Simmons, and now, which was a good player, which was a good defensive player, but doesn't match up well with Joel Embiid. And if you trade James Harden, his value is so low right now. You are basically doubling down on the L that you already took, right? Like they took an L on the Ben Simmons and James Harden trade because this is not James Harden of Houston, like how Joel Embiid said. But now if they trade him, that would be another double down on the L because now you just really have Joel Embiid out there. And yes, Jay, I mean, I love Tyrese Maxey, but I just don't think he's there yet, right? He's not arrived yet. And Joel Embiid, I don't know how much time he has. I think we kind of talk about this sometimes. We say that when you have that championship window, like it could be so small. You got to do everything you possibly can to go after it. If you have a generational player like that, generational talent like that, man. So to answer your question, I don't think they're going to ship Harden or Doc this season. But I am interested to see what pieces they're going to add around it because it's definitely not championship ready, like 100% not championship ready.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. I don't think they have much of an option, really. I mean, you could try to trade James Harden, but who's going to be really interested in him? And on the other side, if you decide to fire Doc Rivers, right, he's probably just going to go to the Lakers. So, and you really don't have an option now. I think they can give James Harden an extension this year. If I was them, I would wait and just see, as you mentioned, see how it plays out. But again, yeah, they're kind of out of options right now. And Embiid played basically as good as he could, I think, because he had so many injuries he was dealing with. And as you mentioned, Tyrese Maxey is only 21 years old. So like he's still got time to grow and still got a few years. So we'll see what the Sixers want to do with that. And, I think Doc Rivers is definitely on the hot seat. He definitely has history of not being able to get it done. He had that one championship in 2008 with the Celtics. And then since then, he really has done nothing. So, I mean, he had history with the Clippers. He couldn't get it done there. He had in Philly. He couldn't do it in Orlando either before that. So, we'll see what happens. But, the Sixers have a very interesting offseason, that's for sure.